I think different languages bring different personalities out from us. Like when I speak Finnish, I'm a little bit serious, a little bit slow, more monotone. And when I speak English, I feel like I'm more vivid.
This is episode 5 of the Babel Bureau, a podcast where European language policy gets decoded, debated, and sometimes lost in translation. I'm Alicia Pfeiffer, and here we navigate the maze of multilingualism with the help of amazing multilingual guests. The Babel Bureau is co-funded by the European Union. The views expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the EU or the European Education and Culture Executive Agency. In episode 5, Jenni Meesit, or Jenni, invites us to a university classroom where the language of instruction is English. Jenni has just started studying digital marketing as the only Finnish-speaking student in the class. What challenges do students face when studying in a foreign language? And what's so attractive about the English language? Stay with us and listen to Jenni's story.
Well, I'm Jenni Meesit, if you like to say also in Finnish. Basically, I identify myself as a master's degree student currently at UF, and I'm doing my master's in digital marketing and analytics. But in my free time, I like to do a lot of stuff. I read a little bit, I go to gym, sauna and ice swimming, and I like to take part in different kind of events, mostly business related events. And recently I attended a competition as well, a hackathon. So it's like a hacking marathon. And mostly, if I can, I also like to spend time with people very important to me, such as friends or my girlfriend.
I did see that you and your team won the hackathon.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so the challenge was about youth resilience. So how can we improve the youth's resilience through educational institutions and so on? And our main idea was like this AI-driven simulation game for the courses for universities and University of Applied Sciences.
What has been your life like from the perspective of different languages that you speak?
I have tried to study few languages, and my mother tongue is like Thai, but what I currently use mainly for daily day life, I would say it's Finnish. That's my primary language. I've been speaking Finnish for 22 years. I moved here when I was 3 years old from Thailand, so I kind of identify myself as a Finn. Second language is basically English. So currently my studies are in English, but we can go back to that later. And it's like the language that I kind of enjoy speaking most. I like the language structure, how it sounds, and I think different languages bring different personalities out from us. Like when I speak Finnish, I'm a little bit serious, a little bit slow, more monotone. And when I speak English, I feel like I'm more vivid in my language and so on. So Finnish and English are the main, but other languages, Thai, I speak a little bit Thai, but not that properly because I haven't been practicing it so much. I haven't have anybody to talk to really in many years, my mother tongue. So I have sadly kind of forgotten it, which is like very sad. Then I have this Dutch, like my biological dad was Dutch, but I have never met him, so I have never got the chance to use Dutch. And in school, I studied French at the University of Applied Sciences. It was one of our mandatory courses that we can pick. And then I actually, one time I was in relationship with a person who was German. So then I kind of tried to study, I don't know if I can say study, but I tried to learn with Duolingo, so the language learning app about German. So there were few languages in my life for some part, but mainly Finnish and English from daily day.
You decided to apply to the study program, and that program is in English. What was behind that decision?
I read the degree description, and it had a lot of things that I was very interested in. So digital marketing, and I identify myself as a marketeer, and it was also in English, and I was like, wow, like it's in language that I enjoy speaking, and I have always wanted to have this possibility to broaden my chances in life. If I want to have that chance, I should prepare myself to have the competence to work or study in English. And doing an English master's would be one way to do that. And I got surprised I'm the only Finnish student in my degree in here Joensuu campus, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think Finnish students are not excited about studying digital marketing in English?
I think there is still this perception that people still want to study in their own native language, mother tongue. And to be honest, it is probably easier to do so, because even I was a little bit afraid of getting into a degree that is supposed to be studied in not my mother tongue. It sounds hard. I don't know why there aren't more Finnish students in my degree, but maybe they're afraid, or maybe they didn't know, I think.
Yeah, so you mentioned this fear to study in a foreign language, and that you yourself have experienced some of that. So, what specifically is scary?
Yeah, the first one, like I said, was the language there. Like, I did not have experience studying in English. Like some people, if you know IB students, they study completely in English, all the courses and such in upper secondary school, if I'm not wrong. And for me, I have studied almost the whole life in Finnish, so it's like a step, like a big leap for me to start studying in English. Even though I felt comfortable, I have done podcasting in English as well. I have a lot of international friends, and I have used English. Like even in the Finnish school, we do study English a little bit. Another thing was also that when we are so used to studying in Finnish schools, we know our own culture. So basically, I know how Finnish people behave and how do we communicate, what kind of behavior we expect from group works, for example. But when you have international students as your study colleagues, then that kind of switches a little bit. So we have people from Bangladesh, Nigeria, and so on, like my classmates. And therefore, the way we work is so different. For example, I'm in the course, we study, like, let's say, digital business strategy, and we have the lecturer, and I just call her by her first name, and I just ask straightforward questions like, hey, thanks, but what about this thing? And then I ask that. But when I have heard the other students who are not from Finland, they go through this longer clarifying questions that, thank you for your presentation, it's very informative. So they're very polite to the teacher or the lecturer, and then they ask the question. So there's like different kind of cultural approach how we behave around our supervisors or our teachers, lecturers, professors, and so on. So the cultural difference, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly relate. And when I told my friends in Poland that, in Finland we address our professors by their first name,
Yeah.
and they were horrified. It's like, no way in hell I'm doing that.
Yeah, and it's like a completely normal thing. We treat lecturers, professors like human beings, and they treat us the same way. So I love that in Finland.
Okay, so it was not just, the language itself, but also this cultural component, the fact that, you just don't know what to expect from the group work, and are you going to get on well with your classmates when, everybody is maybe used to a little bit different group dynamics.
Yeah.
You've been already in the program for a couple months. How much anxiety ended up actually materializing?
I didn't internalize first that I got into the studies English in the English degree. That was like already like, whoa, oh my god, I'm actually studying in English. That was not a shock, but it was kind of very cool thing, and it took me time to kind of internalize it. I don't know if I have internalized it yet, but when we started the studies, we had these webinars like how to settle into the studies, how the Finnish culture is like for the international students. For me, it was, familiar and such. But when we started doing these courses, it was like going back to my study routines again. So now we have a course. This is the lecturer's name. This is the course goals. Now I have to kind of plan, okay, the next meeting is going to start on this day, and now I'm getting to know my classmates. So I was kind of having this anxiety that was bigger than what the reality actually is. So yeah, I was kind of stressing it a little bit too much, but when it came, I was actually quite chill. And honestly, because I was, like I said, I was the only Finnish student in my degree in our Joensuu campus, so a lot of my classmates turned to me to ask questions, even though I wasn't like tutor, but they were like asking me a lot of Finnish culture-based questions, like where's the library, how do we behave here, what's the deadline for this thing. So then I got more confidence that I can actually be helpful for them. So I'm actually like knowledgeable about things and not clueless. So people approach me because I'm not so clueless as I thought I would be. So the lecturers, professors, they also, many of them are Finnish, so they don't speak too much jargon. Like, they're not native speakers. Maybe some of them might be, but they're also human, and they try to explain things to us like in a very human way, clear way. We can always ask questions if we don't understand that. That's what I love about it. It has been quite smooth from the beginning. That I think I have settled in the English space.
So you mentioned that you had some orientation training where, teachers explained how it's going to be in the course. That sounds like one thing that you could do to prepare for studies. Are there any other things that helped you to settle in the program?
Yeah, yeah, I have, and this is my perspective on things. This, some people might not like this type of thing, but if you like are a person who plans like me, likes routines and such, and setting goals, I would recommend like going through kind of your curriculum and kind of get clear on your own goals and start planning things before your studies on small milestones. For example, I want to, yes, get a degree in certain time limit. I'm gonna probably do my master's in 3 years due to my burnout background. You do you. Then I want to network with people. In business studies, it's kind of, I think, a little bit mandatory thing, because networks help you in so many ways. You meet cool people, you increase your cultural understanding. I honestly believe in the networking effect, that it will increase the likability to get employed. And yeah, those are like very good things. Then I want to build my personal brand, probably show up in events, in competitions. Now I'm in podcast. Thank you for that. And write in LinkedIn. Those are just examples. And then one probably that everybody kind of wants to is secure employment before or after the studies. Planning and setting goals is one, but even though if you plan and set goals and work hard on those, I also think and believe that you should also enjoy your time during studies. It should not be about just grinding and such. I have made the mistake. I did this in my bachelor's. I just didn't do anything else but study and work, and therefore I ended up getting a burnout. So having fun, have free time, meet friends, attend cool events such as the hackathon competition if you have chance. And yeah, I would recommend having fun and planning your studies and setting goals.
And it's certainly a good idea to also think about your career before you graduate. I guess you give yourself a head start by, like networking and meeting the right people a little bit before you start looking for a job.
Yeah, I would say it's easier during the studies than after studies.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe there is a little bit less pressure if, like, you graduate and it's like, now what?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I need a job. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of things that do require language. So of course, like talking to people is kind of like a no-brainer, and being active in social media develops your writing skills. But I think that what I got from your insights is that you don't have to sort of like really think about learning the language to practice it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's something. It kind of forces to learn and adapt. Like if you just study in English, you have no other choice than to uh, work in English and such. But it is helpful if you can immerse yourself in English language in other ways too. Like you familiarize yourself with international students as your friends. It can be very enriching experience. Or if you date even international person, that can also boost. Like I would say, it's like a very good sprint for better fluency. When I was dating this English speaking person for 1 year, um, my speaking was in English from morning to the evening. So it was like constant, like we call it kielikylpy, like language bath.
Mm.
So you kind of are bathing in the language. And I did, like I said, I did podcasting with my friend for one season, 10 episodes. So it's like for 10 episodes, we speak English, we prepare before podcasting, and then we listen to it later on, and so on. And if you have played Duolingo, that is also helpful. But maybe if you just use it for something that you love, enjoy, or you use a lot, like studying. I like studying, kind of. So it makes it a more fun experience to learn. So not just forcing really the language into yourself.
Yeah, I mean, great tip to just be driven by what you love, for sure.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't feel like work. Great. And I have a bit of a provocative question.
Oh,
Because, right, we live in a world where, uh, English is dominating. Do you see value in using any other languages for your work than English?
I have to say, from the perspective, this is my perspective. So I'm 25 years old, master's degree student here. People often say that it's very good to have variety of languages. It's very enriching and so on. But in my case, I kind of think that I try to study and learn things that I will probably use. So, meaning that if the world is shifting towards the direction where English is going to be dominating, I kind of want to be ready for that. Of course, if you're passionate about languages and you want to avoid Alzheimer and dementia, learning languages is great. But if you are like me and you don't, you kind of want to focus your energy and time in things that are important to you. So what I'm saying is that it depends on person's goals, on their life. Like if you want to be a better language learner, multilingual, go ahead, study a lot of languages. But if you want to focus on things, like I try to focus my minimal efforts to most important stuffs. Like I want to work proficiently in English, I want to be good at English, then I will focus mainly on English. But we also have to take into consideration we shouldn't put all of our eggs in one basket. So it's good that you have other languages as well. It has benefits, and therefore it gets you upper hand in, let's say, business deals or so on. So it has benefits, but I mainly accept that the world is kind of shifting towards this direction, and I try to be along that wave of that.
And this was the question about tips that now having some experience from studying in English, what would you say to students who are not students yet, or to people who are preparing to apply to study in English or in another, it doesn't have to be English, it just maybe some language that is not necessarily their strongest language?
So when I was in middle school or so, I didn't take the volunteer language courses in my studies because I felt like I wasn't really good at languages. But later on, when I started to learn languages better, like I'm mainly focusing on English, but I did, like I said, German and French a little bit. I realized that the best way for me was like to tie it to something that I love. This is kind of repetitive, but I really want to emphasize, like, do something that you love and involve the language with it. I have this one connection from LinkedIn who is almost like a friend to me right now, but they are very passionate about learning Finnish language, and it seems that they are very passionate about reading. So for them, they try to indulge themselves into Finnish literature. So they read a lot, and it's like 2 years they have been in Finland, but they speak so good Finnish, like amazing. So it's like if you try to do something that you don't enjoy, it's like it's boring. Maybe you suffer mentally from it, and it doesn't stick. We need the fun part of it. I'm not a language professional, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but this is what I feel and what I've read from books, that if you enjoy something, it's going to stick. Try to add the elements of language to your daily life and somehow go to the events that are in English. Maybe if you study English, or if you are speaking another language, find language groups in your city. There might be Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups or such, or there are even online groups that you can attend. Some of there are something that you have to pay for. If you're really passionate, then you pay for, but there are probably some free opportunities. I remember there was this website that I used for English speaking things. It was free to talk or something like that.
Okay, I mean, great to hear that it is so easy.
Yeah, it might not be easy, but it makes it easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be super complicated.
Yeah. And one thing that I would also add is that don't try to do too many things. Like if you do, like, let's say 10 different things and you have so limited time, you can't really see the benefit of neither of those ways of doing things. But if you focus on 1 to max 3 things and you really focus, I think you're going to see the most impact on those. So pick the most, like if you know the Pareto principle, like the small input, but that kind of leads to great output and outcome. I mean, you should pick those things.
Definitely good idea to do a little bit, but regularly.
Yeah. Don't be like me, afraid of the languages. Embrace them. Like for me, I was a little bit afraid of starting my studies in English, but I should have seen it more like an opportunity, like I see now, like to learn and grow. Because when I study in English, like often, like if you study multiple languages, it's very good in a way. This a little bit contradict to what I say, but in this way, if you study more languages than just your one mother tongue, you will learn like about the world in more abstract level. You will like learn the abstract idea, but many ways of saying it in this language and in that language. Finnish language is like very straightforward and not always the most creative, maybe, but it's very straightforward and easy to say. And then in English, we might have very creative ways or eloquent ways to say things. And in English, there are more descriptive words for each thing. So therefore, I understand both worlds now when I study these both languages. So it increases your sophisticated mind about the world, if I can say.
Okay, I think this is also a great conclusion. Yes, if you are a little bit uncertain about studying in a foreign in another language, well, it's normal. You know, it's usually it's more of an overthinking, and once it starts, you're probably going to notice that you're better than you thought you would be. And there's many wonderful things to support yourself along the way. Thank you very much, Jenny, for joining me today.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me to the
Yeah.
podcast. It was enjoyable.
Have a great day.
This was the Babel Bureau, a podcast about language policy in Europe. Today's guest was Jenni Meesit, and we talked about university programs in English. I'm your host and producer, Alicia Pfeiffer from the University of Eastern Finland. Our music was made with Suno. The Babel Bureau is available to listen for free. This podcast is funded by the European Union under the PLURI project. PLURI is an initiative committed to fostering inclusive multilingual education. For more information, visit our website at pluri-project.eu. And if you like this show, remember to follow us so you can come back for more stories.